All right, so this is Erin Mason with the School Counseling Interest Network of ACEs, and I am on screen with Brandie Oliver and Stephanie Eberts. And we decided that for our final meeting of the year, we would do kind of a year in review. So all year you've heard us on the phones, and we thought we would get together and have kind of a reflective conversation about the year, and each just chime in with some of our own thoughts. So we thought this would be a good way to end the year. So I think what we'll start with is what we feel like the needs of the network are. And in our process this year, we've had, I can't remember what we started in August perhaps, and that was our first call. So I think if we could spend some time just talking about what we feel like we've learned about the needs of the network. So does one of you want to kick us off with that question?
Sure. And Stephanie, feel free to jump in. It's interesting. I think that we all had this really great coming together. The three of us were able to talk on the phone and send out surveys and to get information. And for me, a lot of it started to come together at ACES. And so when we were able to meet with different school counselor educators and feel the energy and hear the passion and really wanting to learn from each other and share resources. And so it seems like there's just a lot of need to continue to connect and have that shared understanding and shared struggles that we all kind of go through on a daily basis. And so for me, the needs are that to feel like a part of a group, that we can share not only like syllabi and like the concrete pieces, I guess, of our job, but also to kind of have this shared group where we just kind of get one another. And so that's always a good feeling, I think, is we've had a couple opportunities to have those face-to-face meetings. So that's kind of one big takeaway, and we can kind of get in the weeds on specifics, but that's kind of what I think about as the needs of this group.
Stephanie, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with Brandie. I think we've identified a lot of need for connection, and we've been able to accomplish a lot of that. And I think there's still just a lot of excitement around what Brandie was saying, the connections both over the phone and through our work groups, as well as the ACES conference and the Evidence-Based and Innovations conference. All of those pieces, I think, were really amazing this year, and the request for even more connections seems to really stand out for me, and wanting us. We want to provide that, and we also want to see what other avenues are available to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly would echo that, and hopefully one of the things that we can, well, I know we've sort of shared on the last call, but we did do a little bit of data collection around this topic of what the network needs, and specifically we've tried to focus on face-to-face needs and then virtual needs, and the majority of our participants in that survey were assistant professors. So I think that that's something that I really feel has left an impression upon me, is in this need for connection is the need for people who are newer in the field to feel like they have a place to go and people to go to, and not that that's not true for the rest of us too, but I think that because we have so many people who are sort of newer in the field, that's really critical that we figure out a way to address that, and certainly that need for connection to me is also related to another need that I think we have, which is defining our identity. And it's been interesting to be part of the network, and especially those conversations that we had at ACES. Like, there's just all this energy and positive energy around needing to really define who we are as we are in context with other groups that are similar but not the same. And so to me, I think that that's another big need that I see that we have is our identity. Yeah.
And you got me thinking when you were talking about the assistant level. It made me think about our doctoral students, and so that whole sense of feeling that there's a place that they belong, that mentoring, piece, collaboration. Those are all needs that I think we've heard time and time again. And not just collaboration on getting together and connecting, but research and advocacy and outreach. And so as we continuously form this not new identity, but maybe a stronger identity, I think that that's also, continued theme that we've heard.
And definitely the research piece is a huge need. Not only is that a need for the school counseling profession, but for us as well. And I'm glad that we were able to feature people like Liz and Carrie talking about the Delphi study and kind of spending or dedicating some time on topics that are related to research. And I know Claire out of ACES is doing that on a regular basis and hosting Google Hangouts. And so I'm very appreciative of her really infusing a strong research focus among other kind of segments of our group. So, okay. Well, let's move on to the second question, which is related, and that is, what do we think the future of this network needs to be? So we're kind of coming to the end of this year, and ACES is going to have a new president, and we're not really sure exactly what's going to be happening next. So what are your ideas about what the future of the network should be?
You want me to start, Stephanie, or do you want to
Sure, why don't you go ahead?
I love this format, and I think that the feedback that we have received has been positive. That the video, and thank you, Erin, for taking the initiative for the technology piece, because I don't know that we're ever going to find a time that works for everybody. So I have heard that has been really helpful. That the topics, to be able to watch them or rewatch them, depending on when you would want to, when it's applicable to you, has been really helpful. So the future of the network, I think, is to grow and to continue. I think this format seems to be really working, and hopefully we have some really great work groups started, and to try to understand better how we as an interest network, I guess the leadership, can support those work groups and really expand even the number of people involved. So not only are they members of the network, but they feel like they have a personal investment and participate deeply in the network. So that's what I would say is a big, broad answer to the future of the network.
And very similarly to Brandie, I do see this growing, and over the course of the year, our numbers have grown, which has been really very encouraging. And so just the fact that so many of our respondents have been new to the field, I think that this, the future of this group could really be seen as a continued support for for our work as school counselor educators, and for the continued connection and collaboration that we're all seeking.
Yeah, I'm hoping that there's more opportunity for involvement. I mean, I think the fact that, when Melissa and Stuart really got this going, it was the two of them. Now it's expanded to the three of us, and we've, tried to kind of take what they built and put our own spin on it. But I agree with you, Brandie, about the work groups. And I think that as we try to address some of the needs that we have, if people can feel like they're having more of a concrete, kind of tangible part in that, if that's, serving on a work group, or maybe creating a new work group, or, something like that. I think that people at various points in your career, you kind of want different levels of involvement. And so I'm hoping that the future of this network will allow for a range of involvement, whether you're leading it, or you're doing a work group, or you're just participating in the calls. So I'd like for there to be more choices, I suppose, around that, and particularly knowing that we had so many assistant professors who did weigh into that survey. It would be great for them, I think, to feel like that they have more choices too, so that you can kind of pick something that fits with your timing and your schedule, and but still feel like you're getting something meaningful beyond just participating in the calls.
Assistant level piece, thinking about the future, I would love to see us expand and add more associate and full professors.
Yes.
To give that connection of, and also the historical piece of what we do, and to provide that strong mentorship. So thinking about how can we grow that population, how can they see, their participation as really important, and finding those connections to get their involvement, I think could be a really neat thing, thinking about the future of the network.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it made me immediately go to mentoring and thinking about, and we've talked a lot about just the pipeline of getting practicing school counselors into doctoral programs. I know, Stephanie, that's an area of research that you're working on, and how can we make this side of the field more attractive, and maybe that would be something that would be a goal of the network in the future, is to have some kind of, even if it's informal, mentoring component to it. Yeah.
And one of the things that we are interested in doing with the mentoring work group is to create some mentoring groups, so people at various levels who can collaborate together, and so that is definitely something in the future that I think will be a great element of this interest network. And I think it'll also, hopefully, one of my visions for the future would be kind of what you were saying, Erin, would be to start to branch out from just counselor education and move into the mentoring piece, like you were talking about, of school counselors who are interested in moving in that direction, and getting some education around those ideas, because the more I think we can have those conversations with people outside of this network, I think the more reach we're going to have as far as educating others about our needs, as well as helping others to join in the profession of school counselor education.
And maybe that's maybe this group would be a way to bridge between that, because I feel like you're not really a part of this network until you're in it. And part of what we need to do is to get more people in it. So we're going to have to, at some point, go outside of ourselves, and as you're suggesting, Stephanie, go into the field. And so that might be an interesting, if there's an opportunity, future interview or something, finding people out there who, who want to ask us questions. Let me turn that off.
The other thing I got thinking about when you both were speaking about like the practitioner piece and the pipeline, I also think our world is very unique as far as school counselor education, because we are not just in mental health and counseling. We have to be really mindful of just education, K-12 education, and teachers and principals and superintendents. And so being very intentional about their involvement and participation and understanding around what we do and how we're preparing, the people they're hiring and working with. So I think that might be another really interesting thing as we bring in guest speakers or try to have those intentional partnerships or collaborative efforts.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, for sure we need that. So our last question, and I love that we can be kind of casual. We've got dogs barking in the background. We've got phones ringing in the background. Like, we're just keeping it real. So I think in the spirit of keeping it real, we'll go to our next question, which is just our personal reflections on being involved with the network and trying to lead it over the course of this year. So anybody want to take that one first?
I won't get really sappy, but I would say for me that one of the biggest things that I would say to start out with is the two of you. So just being able to form what I would say is strong friendships, not just working relationships, but I feel like I've got a chance to get to know both of you. So personally, that's been a win that I, was hoping would happen, but it really has. And then just the connections, being able to connect with people that I probably would have never connected with, and just to be able to build relationships and continuously build relationship has been probably the best thing that's happened. So, and hopefully that can continue. But I think that's simple, but it's a really more personal piece of this. Is I feel like professionally, yes, I've grown, but it's been much more than that.
I totally agree, Brandie. Just the opportunity to work with the two of you has been amazing. Sorry, my dog's gonna bark. That's what she does. I apologize. And for me, I think when I first started joining the calls, when Melissa and Stuart were, when they first started the calls, I felt like I found my home.
Mm-hmm.
And I found people I could connect with without even knowing what they look like. And I think over the past year, getting to know more and more people, connecting more deeply and understanding just kind of this really amazing energy that that has built up over the last, for me in the last 3 or 4 years, has been very encouraging, very professionally satisfying, and just wonderful. And on the personal side, of course, just having the opportunity to work with the two of you and see the amazing things that you all are doing, it's inspirational. And it's nice because though I do have one other school counselor educator here with me at LSU, she's in a different role, and I don't get to spend as much time with her. So it's kind of like what I said at the evidence-based conference the first time I went. I was like, these are my people. I feel really grateful to have the network and to be able to communicate with so many people all over the country.
Yes, I don't know how I'm going to add to that. I mean, ditto to what both of you have said. I think one thing that does stand out to me is that in recent conversations that we've had at the Evidence-Based Conference and Innovations Conference, and even just other conversations, there's people have been using words like, or phrases like, we're on the verge of something, or there's positive energy, or things are groundbreaking. Like, I just feel like it's a really exciting time to be part of school counselor education, and that's something that this network has certainly provided for me personally and professionally, and hopefully for everybody who's been involved or been a member, is that they get that sense of something's going to happen. And I certainly have spent a lot of time in reflection on that, and wondering what is next. I think that's what I keep thinking. What's going to be next? Like, am I going to be contributing to it? So hopefully so, and hopefully in a positive way. But really just being very curious about where we're going. And I think that being part of the network has given me an opportunity that I didn't really expect in the beginning about being part of that, whatever future we're kind of in the midst of foraging. And I will be honest that in the beginning I was kind of like, oh, another thing to do, like, is this really going to be worthwhile? And it really has been. And as you all have said, not only have we been able to work together professionally, but personally we've grown to know each other as friends, and I'm so unbelievably thankful for that, and feeling like I have a support system in the two of you as I go through my own challenges. And I also think that, it's made me think a lot about, being involved in the network has made me think a lot about our identity as school counselor educators, and where we fit and how we fit, and, all those kinds of things. And I also, find myself thinking about things that I didn't really think about before, and particularly, how sort of the the life and the path of a career of a school counselor educator. And I sort of feel like I'm mid-career. I don't even know if that's really accurate or not, but I feel like that's where I am, and post on the other side of tenure. And I know that that's, everybody's got a different story there, but on the other side of tenure, I'm kind of trying to figure out, who am I post tenure? Like what kind of work do I have ahead of me? And the network has helped me really think through some things that I hadn't thought about before, and I'm very grateful for that. So I think we're coming to the end of our conversation. Are there any other kind of last words that we want to say to our network members as we wrap up?
The only thing I can think of is when you were talking, Erin, is I hope that as they watch, assuming they do watch, if there's a part that they want to get involved in, to contact any of us. And we want their participation and intentional involvement. And while we've tried to be intentional in what we do, I think there's some organic things that have just kind of popped up. And so we're open to ideas. We're open to maybe where they see themselves fitting, that already, if there's a structure in place, but we want their involvement. We want their voice, because I think that's what makes this, Interest Network just really unique, is every voice is welcome, every story is different, and how can we, really meet the needs of what our members really want.
Yeah.
Just FYI, my dog was not barking a little while ago, and she started again.
It's tied to when you talk. I noticed that, like when you start talking. Yeah.
The thing that I would love to add is just being very grateful to the members for really receiving us very well as being willing to work and get involved and be connected with each other. Those have been really rewarding elements. And so I just want to thank the membership for everything that you all are doing and continue to do for the profession. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. It was ditto to that. We, I think we all agree that we're not a network without our membership. And so we want to say thank you to the membership. We also want to encourage you to continue to stay involved and continue to provide ideas about how you'd like to see the network operate or change or grow. And we'll do our best to make sure that we present your voices to those who need to hear it. Again, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen next. Once we do, we'll certainly let you all know. But we thank you for joining us and being a part of our conversations this year.